The rise and fall of Abu Sayyaf. Is this the end of Abu Sayyaf? Notorious leader of Abu Sayyaf surrendered to Philippines police after severely wounded by the Philippines army. The notorious leader of the Muslim terrorist group Abu Sayyaf, Abduljihad Susukan, is now in the custody of the Philippines National Police after severely wounded in battle in the remote mountainous part of southern Philippines. He was served a total of 34 warrants of arrest, 23 for murder, 6 for attempted murder, and 5 for kidnapping. Philippines Police Chief General Archie Gamboa said. Abduljihad Susukan is the highest-ranking commander of Abu Sayyaf, to be taken into custody this year. He is part of the group linked to the beheading of 2 Canadians in 2016. The rest had been killed by the military in 2017. Susukan also helped finance the kidnappings of 2 Canadian men who were separately beheaded in Sulu, Philippines in 2016 after the militants failed to get a huge ransom. Another Abu Sayyaf militant, Yadah, killed the Canadians and remains at large, a military officer said. Abduljihad Susukan is wanted both in Malaysia and Philippines since 2013 for a series of cross-border kidnapping. Security officials blame Susukan and his followers for taking part in cross-border kidnappings of tourists and others from the remote part of Sabah, Philippines, and on Borneo Island of Malaysia. They included a Malaysian who was beheaded by the militants in 2015 at their jungle base in southern Sulu province of Mindanao on the day when Prime Minister Najib Razak of Malaysia arrived in Manila to attend a regional summit. The Philippines military has been battling for many years the Abu Sayyaf. Military accuse them of running away in battle when cornered, leaving their arms, and blend themselves with the Muslim populations in the area. Thus makes it even harder for the military to track them. A sizable group of the Muslim population support them in their terroristic ideas, which has been blacklisted by the United States and the Philippines as a terrorist organization over a series of bombings, ransom kidnappings and beheadings. Many of its estimated 200 remaining gunmen, mostly poor villagers, have aligned themselves with the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS, group. Susukan hied himself to a Muslim rebel chief after a gun battle with Philippine troops in Sulu that severed his left arm. He then traveled to the city of Davao to have his lost arm fitted with synthetics. Local sources said. Military officials believed he was killed, but later learned he was hiding in the house of Nomisuri, who leads an armed group that signed a 1996 peace deal with the government. Nomisuri flew from Sulu to Davao City on a private plane with Susukan on Sunday, sparking speculation he may be planning to present the suspect to President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte has been staying in his hometown in Davao, where Missouri also has at home. Although the president has appointed Missouri as a special envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Muslim rebel chief has not been clearly authorized to hold talks with suspected terrorists. His giving himself up to Missouri is not the surrender contemplated under the law and does not make him immune from arrest, military spokesperson Major General Edgar Arevalo said in a statement. Under a murky arrangement, Missouri and his rebel force have been allowed to keep their weapons in Sulu and outlying provinces under the 1996 Muslim autonomy deal in the south, homeland of minority Muslims in the largely Roman Catholic nation. They have been occasionally accused by security officials of attacking the military and providing aid and sanctuary to the Abu Sayyaf, who are supporting the Abu Sayyaf. Abu Sayyaf was founded in Basilan province and operates primarily in the provinces of the Sulu archipelago, namely Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. The group, considered as pirates, operates on the Zamboanga Peninsula, and members occasionally travel to Manila. In mid-2003, the group started operating in Cotabato, a city in Mindanao, and on the provincial coast of Sultan Kudarat, Mindanao. The group expanded its operational reach to Malaysia in 2000, with the abduction of foreigners from a tourist resort there. The group was founded in 1989 from returning MNLF members, who fought together with the Americans during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the early 80s. Its leaders were influenced by radical Islamic teachings in Afghanistan. The group then split from the much larger Moro National Liberation Front headed by Nur Missouri in the early 1990s and started their violent ideologies. In December 1998, its founding leader Abu Janjalani was killed in a clash with Philippine police. His younger brother, Gaddafi Janjalani, replaced him as the nominal leader of the group. In 1991, the group has carried out bombings, kidnappings, assassinations, and extortion. They have been involved in criminal activities, including kidnapping, rape, child sexual assault, forced marriage of young girls aged 6 to 12 to extortion and drug trafficking. Jemaah Islamiya operatives have provided training to Abu Sayyaf members and likely facilitated at least some of the Abu Sayyaf terrorist attacks. Abu Sayyaf has Malaysian and Indonesian nationals from regional terrorist groups such as Jemaah Islamiya, which is based mainly in Indonesia, with cells operating in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines. Jemaah Islamiya became well known of the 2002 Bali bombing that killed more than 200 white tourists and many more severely injured. It is largely supported by Islamic extremists from Middle East and Turkey, but also enriched themselves from and through acts of huge ransom and extortion. Libya publicly reported in 2000 that it paid millions of dollars for the release of the foreign hostages seized from Malaysia. Some ranking officers of the armed forces of the Philippines were accused by the locals of conniving with the Abu Sayyaf for a share in the ransom. Over time, Abu Sayyaf became ruthless and resorted to beheading civilians, which thwarted many countries to designate them as a terrorist group by Australia, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom and the United States. Since 2015, American and Australian forces are stationed in the area to train local forces in counter-terror and counter-guerrilla operations. The Abu Sayyaf group is considered brutal and was responsible for the Philippines' worst terrorist attack in the bombing of a ferry in 2004, which killed 116 and injured many more. In 2000, its faction operating in Sabah, Philippines kidnapped 21 white tourists in a Malaysian resort. In 2001, they kidnapped 20 tourists from a resort in Philippines and murdered some of white hostages. Philippine authorities blame Abu Sayyaf for exploding a bomb near a Philippine military base in Zamboanga in October 2002 that killed a US serviceman. Abu Sayyaf also claimed responsibility for the 2005 Valentine's Day bombings in Manila, Davao City, and General Santos City, which killed 8 and injured more than 150. The group though is dwindling, many of them killed by armed forces and incarcerated in maximum security prison, and more are surrendering to the military in exchange of pardon and financial livelihood and government support. As of 2018, the group was estimated to have between 200 to 300 members, down from 1,250
in early 2000 to about 400 in 2007. But for more than 2 decades now, the group's kidnapping activities remain unabated. It is a complex problem that has outlasted 4 administrations with no clear solution in sight. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Hola. Thanks for listening.